You can design an entire new life at 1:13 in the morning, but somehow you still cannot send the one email that would move it forward. You have the business idea, the perfect daily plan, the notes app full of quotes, the folder of saved videos, the future version of yourself already imagined in painful detail. But the moment one tiny real task appears, your brain suddenly becomes very interested in cleaning the room, checking your phone, making coffee, fixing your schedule, or reorganizing your entire system, anything except the thing that would make the dream real. That is the strange part of being ambitious and stuck. You are not short on desire. You may want more so badly that it keeps you awake at night. You can see the better life. You can explain it. You can almost feel it. But when the next step is small, boring, and real, you freeze. Not because the task is huge. Usually, it is almost embarrassing how small it is. One paragraph, one workout, one application, one awkward voice recording, one message you have been putting off for 3 days. And yet that tiny action feels heavier than the whole dream. Here's the part most people miss. Ambitious people do not always avoid work because they do not care. Sometimes they avoid work because the first action creates feedback, and feedback is dangerous to the fantasy. When the dream lives only in your head, you can still imagine the best version. The version who is disciplined, talented, confident, impressive. The version who would succeed if life finally gave them the right mood, the right time, the right routine, the right clean desk. But the first attempt does something your imagination never does. It answers back. You record the first voice test, and your voice sounds flatter than you expected. You write the first page, and it feels clumsy. You try the workout, and 10 minutes feels harder than it should. You send the message, and nobody replies. Now the dream is no longer protected. Now there is evidence, and evidence can hurt. That is why planning feels so much safer than starting. Planning lets you stand near the life you want without being judged by it. You can open Notion, build a perfect dashboard, color code the habits, move blocks around your calendar, rename the project folder, watch one more video about discipline, and still feel like you are becoming someone serious. But the actual task is still sitting there, untouched. Planning is the showroom. Everything is clean in the showroom. The lights are nice. The tools are arranged perfectly. The future looks expensive and organized. Action is the workbench. The workbench is scratched. The first draft is ugly. The recording has background noise. The spreadsheet is confusing. The workout clothes are on, but you still feel ridiculous. Nothing looks like the version in your head, and if your ego needs the dream to stay beautiful, the workbench feels like a threat. This is why you can spend 3 hours improving the system around the task while avoiding the task itself. You are not just wasting time, you are protecting an identity. As long as you are still preparing, you can keep believing, I could be great once I really start. But once you start, the sentence changes. Now you have to meet the beginner version of yourself. That version is slower than your imagination, less polished, more awkward, easier to discourage. That version takes too long to write a simple paragraph. That version keeps rereading the same email. That version records something, hates it, deletes it, and pretends the idea was not ready. This is the version most ambitious people do not want to meet. So they delay. And delay feels good for a moment. The second you decide, I'll start tomorrow, the pressure drops. The blank page stops staring at you. The uncomfortable task disappears from today. You get a little relief. Your brain remembers that relief. So tomorrow, when the same task appears, delay arrives faster. Then faster again. Eventually, procrastination does not feel like a decision. It feels automatic. You open the laptop, your body is in the chair, the task is right there, and somehow your hand reaches for the phone before you even choose to. That is not a character flaw. It is a loop. Task creates discomfort. Delay creates relief. Relief teaches delay. Then guilt arrives at night and makes the next day feel even heavier. This is why shame does not fix the problem. Calling yourself lazy may feel honest, but it usually gives you nothing to do except hate yourself harder. And when you hate yourself, the task becomes even more loaded. Now you are not just writing one paragraph. You are trying to prove your entire worth through one paragraph. No wonder you avoid it. The way out is not to wait until you become fearless. It is not to build a perfect routine, and it is not to consume another 10 videos about becoming disciplined. The way out is to stop asking for motivation and start asking for feedback. Not big feedback, not public feedback, not life-changing feedback. Small, private, visible feedback. If you want to write, the first feedback is one ugly paragraph saved in the document. If you want to get fit, the first feedback is 10 minutes of movement, even if it feels weak. If you want to build a channel, the first feedback is one rough voice recording that you do not delete. If you want to apply for something, the first feedback is opening the form and filling in the first section. The action should be small enough that you cannot hide behind preparation, but real enough that it gives you information. That is the key. You are not trying to prove that you are talented. You are trying to prove that you can touch the work without disappearing. The first step is not supposed to feel impressive. It is supposed to break the spell, because the fantasy says, I could be amazing if I really tried. Feedback says, here is where I actually am. And that second sentence is less comfortable, but it is much more useful. Once you know where you actually are, you can improve, you can adjust, you can make the second draft better than the first. You can make the next workout easier to begin. You can send the next message with less drama. You can learn from reality instead of protecting yourself from it. But none of that happens in the showroom. It happens at the workbench. So tonight, do not make another perfect life plan. Choose one ambition that has been quietly embarrassing you. Not the one that sounds best in your head. The one you keep decorating instead of doing. Then choose one piece of feedback you can create before the day ends. Not a huge step, not a dramatic reset. One piece of feedback. Write the messy paragraph. Save the bad recording. Put on the shoes and walk for 10 minutes. Send the message. Open the application. Make the thing real enough that reality can respond. And when it feels awkward, do not use that as proof that you are not capable. Use it as proof that you finally left the showroom. That awkward feeling is not failure. It is contact. Contact with the work. Contact with the gap. Contact with the beginner version of yourself. That is where ambition becomes useful. Not when it helps you imagine a perfect future, but when it gives you enough courage to make one imperfect move today. So if you recognize yourself in this, do not turn this video into another clean idea you save and forget. Pick the task you have been decorating. Then create one small piece of feedback, because your life will not change when your plan gets prettier. It will change when your work gets real. What is the one task you keep decorating instead of doing? Put it in the comments. Make it specific.